Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. What up, everybody? It's Stocks for Rell. And yes, your boys Packers won a day. Therefore, we celebrating. I'm a cheesehead, right? Got to represent. Anyway, that being said, we're going to get into two stocks today. We're going to get into Disney. We're going to look at the calls and the puts on Disney and SoFi. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on SoFi, going over a couple different hour chart levels, right? Because earnings is on Tuesday, and a lot of people are asking me a lot of questions when it comes to this company and what I think is going to happen. So we're going to look into the bullish action for SoFi versus the bearish action for SoFi. We're going to look at all of the levels from the lowest for the first target all the way to the max, and then outside of that, we're going to look at the confirmations and we're going to go from there. And we're going to keep it simple and we're going to get into it. I have to say that I've had some technical difficulties, so please let me know if the audio is kind of messed up. If it is, I'm sorry. I've already spent enough time on this, so hopefully it's just a matter of you guys turning up your volume and everything just being copacetic. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey, what's up, everybody? So I have some plays for you right now for Disney. Okay, now I must say, missed the opportunity to hop into a put option on Disney. Now I think I did put out levels for this recent pullback, but I just wasn't paying attention to it. I was focused on silver. I was focused on Chewy. I was focused on SoFi. I was focused on SPY and Tesla, amongst other things. And if you guys know, you know, and hopefully we're there and we're all making money together. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? So, before I get into Disney, you know what? I'll save it for the end of the video. Stay tuned to the end, to the very end, because there's information I want to put out, and it's important, especially for SoFi, because I'm going to reveal all of the price targets from here to $20. Okay, so I just want you guys to be as prepared as possible. Okay, so anyway, you guys already know what you're looking at. This is the options trade stocks for Rell chart template. You already know we have the Minnows, the Dolphins, and the Orcas. The Minnows is anybody that's looking for contracts that's under $50. The Dolphins, anything over $50 to $200, and then the whales, the Orcas, the sharks, anybody over $200 is the contract size that we're targeting here, right? Now, again, this doesn't mean that a whale can't play a minnow play, or a minnow can't play a whale play, or a dolphin can't play whatever, right? This is just a gauge for people to understand, you know, kind of who we're talking about based on your port size or your risk size, all right? So, unfortunately, minnows, you know, this isn't necessarily for you. And the reason is because when we're looking at options contracts, we really do need to be responsible when it comes to the selection of the options trade that we're looking at. Too far out of the money, we already know that we have an opportunity to get smoked, and we don't want that. You know, the closer you are into the money, you know, the more expensive the contract. However, at the same time, you have a little bit more leniency. It's less likely for that contract to go to zero if you are near in the money versus so far out of the money. So that is why we have what we have here. I have a play for the Dolphins and I have a play for the Orcas, the whales, the sharks. Now, stay tuned, because SoFi does apply to everybody, okay? And we're going to get into it. Now, let's talk about Disney, okay? Disney right now, we are in an uptrend. I'm going to go over a couple confirmations and then I'm going to let you know what I'm thinking here. So in the first chart, you see that we are in an uptrend where we have higher highs and higher lows. Now I want you to pay attention to the middle of the chart, where you probably notice a head and shoulders pattern there, which is where you've seen that pullback, only for us to do that that gap fill and then a continuation towards the upside more. So that's what you're seeing here. And as of right now, you're seeing a little bit of a pullback, as if it had hit that ascending line of resistance, and now it's being pulled back towards the ascending line of support, only to bounce again. Will it bounce? We don't know, but we're going to talk about the downside of that coming up. Now, the price targets that we're looking for Disney is going to be the $97.35 for the initial entry. Now, I need you to remember that when we're talking about entries, we're looking at price action, momentum, volume, right? Leading into that entry target of 97.35. It's not if it crosses 97.35. It's not if it's approaching 97.35. It's how the price action is behaving leading into that position. And if it's not looking good, then what do? We wait for further confirmation, meaning a candle opening above that level, or we're seeing bottom wicks, if not like, a support, strong support confirmations above the level. Okay, so that's what that is, right? We have the entry of 97.35 and we have a stop loss of 96.10. Our first take profit target is $101.40 with a max take profit target of $107.42. Now, of course, this can go higher than that. However, we'll see what happens. A lot of this is probably banking on earnings, which I believe for Disney is either November 14th. That being said, the contract that I have for the call options is catered towards the Dolphins, and that is $158 at the time of this recording, and that's going to be the December 20th contract, okay, with a strike price of $105. Now, that's great because our price target for max price target is 107. So we'll be well in the money if Disney crushes earnings, right? Or just does good enough to send the stock flying. Now, essentially, you see we're in this parallel channel in this uptrend, and essentially we want to break up and through, up and out, or down and out. But we'll see what happens. Okay. Now, so we have uptrend on the 4 hour through the weekly. So we have several uptrend confirmations. Okay. 4 time frames is showing of being in demand. So all the blue that you see, the little like teal colors you see there, those multiple demand levels across multiple timelines. Okay. Or time frames. Okay. We're retesting and or we're above a known level of resistance at 94.75. So we're just looking for some strength there and then waiting for strength carrying into our 97.35 before we hop into a play. Now, let's move on. Okay, so I do want to stress one thing about call options on Disney, but I'm going to wait till after I go over the puts. Okay, so let's move right into the puts, which is a well play. Okay, so with the puts, now we notice that we are in this uptrend. However, we also just hit a double top, or what could be a double top, right? And we lost that neckline that we see there as well. On top of that, we've established supply and we rejected at 96.73, and we're talking on the shorter time frame of 1 hour. Okay. The 21 EMA has already crossed the 50, and then we're in the process of crossing under the 200. Okay. We have an increased bearish value, as well as we're approaching a demand zone in the short time frame. So that's just something to note. And then, yes, that is it. Sorry about that. All right. So looking at this, the price target for entry is 92.76. Okay. Now, that entry point is also going to be a break of structure. So it's going to be us breaking out of that uptrend, essentially, or the channel that I have drawn. So that adds towards that confirmation, right? And essentially 92.76, we're looking for weakness going into that level. And then we have a stop loss of 93.12. Okay. Our first take profit target is $90.69 with a max take profit target of $88.93. Now, let's go into SoFi. So, SoFi. Right now, I am showing you guys a 3-month chart of SoFi. Okay. Now, back in the day, I used to use something called a box method, right? When I try to identify if a stock was bullish or bearish, right? And what and it works pretty well. So what it means is I bracket a zone in which I'm looking at, and then pretty much if it's below the halfway point, then it's still bearish, and if it's above the halfway point, then we're in bullish territory. So it's very, very simple. I do talk about that if I'm doing any type of coaching or training or whatever with anybody that's interested. Okay, so currently, um, I'm showing you the 3 months, and I'm just gonna go down the charts um, in lower time frames, just so you can get an idea as far as what we're looking at and the potentials for entries going forward. Okay, so let's see here. So this is the 3 month. Notice that we're in an uptrend with some um, strong volume, strong green candles. Now, the reason why I want to start with this is because I wanted you guys mainly to see what is shown at the bottom, which is the amount of uh, earnings since conception of SoFi, since it's gone public. Notice how much green you see. Okay, SoFi almost never misses. I'm going to dive into it a little bit deeper later in the video, but I just wanted you to see the holistic view of all the earnings that's hit for SoFi. And despite it hitting, you still see a lot of selling off, right? So, anyway, let's get into it. So, that's the 3 month chart. We see higher highs and higher lows. We're approaching that ascending line of resistance right now, which happens to be one of the levels, well, close to a level that we need to break through in order for us to be looking at calls safely. Okay, so this right here is the 1 month chart. Okay, now again, you see the ascending line um, of support and resistance, but above the blue line, like right below it, and largely above, you see red, like half of a box, right, or rectangle. That is representative of a supply zone. Okay, so just know there's a lot of selling pressure once we get into that $14 range. Okay, but I just wanted you guys to see how we're looking as we get closer, right, down this line. So now let's go from 1 month and let's go to the daily. Okay, so here's your daily chart. Now, I want you to notice that in this daily chart, you don't see a lot of volume, right, um, up in this region. That's because we haven't spent a lot of time in this area for SoFi. And and you may notice that, yes, we have the EMAs on our side where they're flaring up, and there's a very, very strong momentum towards the upside. However, there's a couple of things playing against us here. One, we're approaching key levels of resistance. On top of that, we're getting further and further away from the EMAs. And if anybody knows anything about reading charts and how it correlates with these EMAs, um, or VWAP or whatever you use, right, is the further away it gets from these levels, the more it wants to correct and come back to touch these levels, right? So we just be mindful that there's a potential for a pullback to happen. But we can't necessarily bank on that either, okay? We have to pay attention to price action and ride the momentum, okay? So I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But you see the box that's kind of bluish teal, that's a demand zone, and above that is a purple box, which is an imbalance. Okay, those are good indications of some support in that area. Now, okay, I'm going to get into some of these things. I'm just kind of speeding to the charts, and then I'm going to go over my notes. Okay, so then once we get out of the daily, now we're looking at the 4 hour. Okay, now the 4 hour chart. Notice that we did have that huge red bar sell off, and that's pretty strong because there's no wicks. It's all selling pressure. But the cool thing that we see with the 4 hour chart is the fact that we are towing the line essentially on that 20-day EMA, right? So that is a pretty healthy ride towards the upside, in my opinion. and we're still showing higher highs and higher lows. So at the very least, we may be seeing SoFi come down to retest those levels, right? Um, where that imbalance and where the imbalance in the demand zone is before it takes off prior to earnings, but we will see. And lastly, we have the 65-minute chart. But we are at a level, we fell below a level in which we have seen resistance. So we might float here and be range bound until we get earnings, or at least have a little bit of a pullback. But everything that I see says that there is a possibility, a stronger possibility for a pullback, despite us being um, in a bullish trajectory. Okay, so that's what I have for the charts. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. But I'm gonna go over my notes to add some clarity to some things, and then um, we're going to go into the targets. Okay, so SoFi got bullish. This is my confirmations. Okay, so we have bullish momentum, which we already spoke to. We're in an uptrend, right? We did have an opening gap. Well, from 1042 to 1078. Okay, um, but we are getting to a point where we're getting top wicked on shorter time frames. So we're seeing a lot of selling pressure where we are. A daily, we start to see, I'm sorry, the daily, we start to see us get further away from the EMAs. And then also, if you're paying attention to our FI or the MFI, you notice that we are overbought in the overbought territory. So again, there's a lot of things that's happening right now that could lead to some selling pressure for just some retracement. I don't see anything, any signs for any reversals, right? So for earnings though, okay, so adding to that, the shorts still have not covered. Then there's 183 million shares still being sold short despite this run up that we have. We have three back-to-back quarters of profitability, and we've only missed on one of the last 12 earnings reports. Okay, that's absolutely insane. Now, I want you guys to think about this. SoFi has missed one time over the past 12 earnings, but yet, over these past 12 earnings, we've seen SoFi get crushed, right? So I'm saying these things to prepare you, right? Because SoFi could absolutely crush it as they've been doing, right? But the short sellers can still find a way to push this price down. There's a reason why these shorts still have not covered yet. And part of that is I believe they just want to wait for earnings and then see what happens. However, again, it's a coin flip as far as what can happen. I will go over the expectations for earnings, but I also will go over my expectations for earnings. But either which way, no matter how bullish we are, the shorts can do what the shorts will do, and we might get smoked. So again, SoFi is dangerous. Be careful. Um, so we only missed of one of the last 12 earnings, and we've had surprise beats consistently exceeding expectations over 3.7%. So from 3.7, and it's gradually increased. So from 3.7% all the way to about 5%. Quarter after quarter, we've exceeded expectations or had surprise beats in revenue, right? So here's the expectations right now for SoFi. We're looking at revenue of $631.59 million, okay, with an EPS ranging of point 0.3 cents or 3 cents to 5 cents, okay, and that's analyst expectations. My expectations is for SoFi to hit $645 million in revenue with an EPS of 6 to 7 cents. Okay, so I'm close to double what they see in the EPS. However, the revenue, I'm about uh, four, 14 million dollars more than they are. So um, that being said, here's what I think that will 100% pass with flying colors. Okay, the earnings and revenue, I think that's going to be a beat. Member growth, I think that's going to be a beat. Lending growth, I think that's going to be a beat. Non-lending growth, meaning SoFi Relay, Invest, Banking, etc. That's going to be a beat. positive guidance. I think that's going to be a beat, and then a full path of gap profitability. I think they're going to announce profitability this quarter, and then they're going to give you the roadmap as far as how they're going to close out the year strong and hit gap profitability. So I think all of those are going to be beats. Now, we've done this multiple times, and now what's the bearish case for SoFi? Well, the tech platform, Galileo, right? Will they announce um, who these major banks or clients they have are? Did they land anybody since we've been lowering interest rates, right? Or doing these rate cuts, right? So that's going to be a big factor as far as how they're going to be able to spin SoFi to create or generate FUD. If SoFi can't say anything bullish or positive, especially for the future growth of Galileo, and also how they're going to use their own technology to advance their app and software. If they can't speak to that, then that doesn't mean that they're a bad company. That doesn't mean that um, you know they're not going to excel in the next 12 months or 5 years, however long you plan on playing SoFi. But it does mean that in the near term, right? Um, the short sellers or legacy banks or whoever that don't want SoFi to succeed, they can headline the heck out of that and create a sell off and create FUD in the market on SoFi and rake it all in. So I want you guys to be careful. Again, only bet what you're willing to lose, and do your own research. If you're in it to win it, in it for the long run, then shout out to you. Congrats. If you're in it just to make a quick buck, then you can do that too. You just got to know how to play it, and I'm going to tell you how right now. Now, I have listed the entry and exit and all of the take profit targets for SoFi. Now, why did I do this? I did this because I know that there's different people out there that's following SoFi and that are playing SoFi. Some people want a quick buck. Some people um, essentially just want to get in, get up, get out, and they're not investors. They're traders of the stock. So for that reason, I've given you every price target leading from where we are to where we can potentially go. Now, will we get all the way to the top right away? Probably not. There lies where you decide to get in as far as your contract goes. Where's your expiration? Is it in a month? Is it in 3 months? Is it next year? Is it in 2026? That's up to you. I am not including a contract for SoFi. I will tell you that I am currently in SoFi call options, and a few are in the money. A few of them are January 2026. $7 or $8 calls. So of course you already know I'm way in the money there. As far as recent contracts, I think I'm in either a December or a January $12 call. Monday, I plan on getting into either a $12 or a $13 call that expires in by the end of November or sometime in December, which I want to say is December 20th. Okay. So I'm looking at a shorter term contract just to see if I can do a quick trade with those. But I do have my leaps that I plan on holding on for um, a while, even if we hit $13. So just know, okay, we all play this different, and that's why we're different folks, different structure, different folks. Okay, so entry for SoFi is going to be $11.09 with a stop loss of $10. Okay, um, as you can see, you have all of the take profit targets. I'm not going to read all of these off, but the first take profit is going to be $11.73, and then the max short-term take profit is going to be $12.66. Um, the next one that I would also point out is the $13.37, which is typically where we would see a little bit more resistance. Okay, from there you can read the rest, but we do have a max take profit target of $19.97. When will we get there? I don't know. Could it happen this earnings? Possibly. I'm not gonna hold my breath, but if it happens, I'm sitting pretty. So it is what it is. Now, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Um, Sorry if this was a little long, but hopefully it all makes sense and hopefully it was helpful. Please hit me up in the DMs on Instagram or hit me up in Keenan Grace's Discord. I'm over there under Stocks for Rell or Cooking Rell. It's the same person, okay? That's me, just DM me, okay? So, to wrap all this up, um, I do want to let everybody know that I did get some inquiries as far as people wanting one-on-one sessions. Now, I have helped a couple people in the past that's seen some success. One individual in particular just reached out to me and he's been sharing screenshots of all the things and been following my plays and he's doing very well. So it's good to see. It makes me feel good. So if you are interested, just shoot me a DM. I am figuring out how to make sure I structure things a little bit better for the individual sessions so that I am making the best use of your time and I am giving you all that I can give. Okay, so that being said, any questions, I'm an open book for the most part. So if you guys just want some clarity as far as what I can do, what I can offer, just let me know. But my resume pretty much is on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and whatever and Discord. So over the past 4 years, you guys see my ups and you guys see my downs, and I don't really shy away from anything that's negative about me because that's the only way I feel like I can grow as a trader and as a person. So that being said, get close. I'll leave you with this. Every earnings, okay? Every earnings almost. If the stock is has a higher probability of going up after the earnings is released, then likely the day before, aka for SoFi, would be tomorrow. There's typically a pullback or a little bit of a sell off prior. Okay, that is kind of what I'm waiting for before I go hard and heavy into another big stock position for SoFi. So I am hoping for a sell off tomorrow. Will it happen? I don't know. But for those that are not sure, I want you to know that don't fight what you see. That's going to get you smoked, right? Or that's going to have you feeling like you're missing the boat. And it's happened to me, especially playing earnings too many times, right? If everything checks out, if the price action looks good, if the company looks good, if the fundamentals look good, if all of the research that you see and everything is in your face and is telling you that it's going up, don't do the opposite thing. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that I've done it and it never pans out well. And traditionally, when it comes to SoFi, when we get around this time where like we're like on the brink of a breakout, like a huge breakout, I get more conservative because I feel like things are too good to be true. So, or I feel like, oh man, it has to come down. We got to get that out of our system because that's not how this market works. The market doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care that you press buy to go long or you sold to go short. It's going to do what it's going to do. And the only thing we can do is use the information we have to make an educated decision. And if the probability says it's going in a direction, then I highly recommend to myself, right, that I ride the wave in the direction the wave is riding or running. Okay, so that is all I have for you. This is Stocks for Real. I appreciate you guys. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share this video to anybody. And if you want me to do a follow-up video or a live stream on SoFi for the earnings, let me know. Hit me up in the comments, and let's take care of it. Let's come up big. Hopefully we win. All right? Take care.